feeling this has nothing to do with
Look at
wrestling.
Stinger, he's tormented.
There's something
He's in
beyond wrestling.
agony. I don't understand. Look at these people are eating. Why are they doing this to Stinger? What's going on?
He's tied up and there's no hope at this point.
Look at, they've got his feet.
They're relentless, Nate.
They won't quit.
I mean, look at this. He's tied completely.
Oh, but wait, someone is finally coming to the rescue. Who's this? It's Bishop Jack Wallace? And the demons are out of there. Now let's think about this. You have a wrestling show that includes some of the toughest guys in the history of the business, both legitimately and in terms of their gimmicks. Greg Valentine, Road Warrior Animal. Plus Shawn Michaels, who at this point is still main eventing WWE pay-per-views. And who runs in to save many-time world champion Sting from being beaten senseless by a bunch of nobodies? The pastor of the church. He hits the ring and the demons flee without even putting up a fight. You know, the NWL, one of the local independent promotions, used to hold shows at my high school. It was very cool because in addition to the local wrestlers, they would always book a few legends who were more well-known to help draw the house. That's how I got to see Jimmy Snuka wrestle live. It was pretty cool. And you know, none of my teachers were ever involved in the show. There was never a spot where, say, my principal, Mr. Peccano, would run out to save Neil Superior from Doink the Clown. It never occurred to me at the time, but in retrospect, I'm grateful. Very grateful. But whatever. Sting has been beaten up, but now Bishop Jack Wallace is here. He'll help Sting off with those chains and...
You can make it. Come on, you can do it. You can break the chains. You can break them.
No, dude, just take the chains off of him. Come on.
Come on, Sting. You can do it, man.
No, you don't understand. You don't know what's going on in my life.
Doesn't matter. You can be free. You don't have to be chained. You don't have to be in bondage. You don't have to be a slave, Sting. Come on. Break it. You can do it.
I can't. You don't understand. I can't. I'm in too deep. It's way too deep.
In too deep? Sting, just relax your hands. It looks like the chains will fall right off.
I've seen
got
others.
a lifestyle on the road that's radical. One that I know my wife and children would not approve of, but it's too far gone. It's too late. So forget it.
Wait. Okay. Oh no.
There is no amount of money, no amount of power, no big wrestling event, no woman, no drug, no nothing that can fix me.
See, we're meant to interpret this part of the show symbolically. Some of you might find this a little disorienting because everything up to this point has been meant to be taken literally. Now suddenly it's all metaphor. But Christians are used to this sort of thing. It's how most of them read the Bible. The fun part is talking to individual Christians and figuring out which parts they interpret literally and which parts they read as metaphor, because it's always different. For instance, some Christians might view the chains around Sting's wrists and legs as literal chains, actually put there by minions of Satan, while others would view the chains as representations of the sins in Sting's life, like alcohol and drug abuse, infidelity, or taking part in that RoboCop angle at Capital Combat. Unbelievable as it sounds, there are even interpretations of this show where Bishop Jack Wallace is something other than a pathetic craven fame whore.
There is one who can break the chains.
Do you see where this is going? Jesus is going to help Sting find the strength to break the chains. Everybody got that? Well, unfortunately, not so fast.
There is somebody who can break the chains. I told everybody here tonight that I was coming to make a big purchase. That big purchase is you, Sting.
Yes, that jolly fellow with his mic turned off is Ted Dibiase, the $1 Million Man. And I'll let you in on a little secret. The Power Wrestling Alliance was Ted DiBiase's company. He wasn't just a performer, he was the promoter. which makes it even more embarrassing that he was somehow allowed to walk out to the ring without a functioning microphone. To sum up what Dibiase's saying, he has come back to make a major purchase, Sting. He and his money can make Sting a star again, can take him back to the main event of Madison Square Garden. Two things strike me as odd about this, besides the fact that Dibiase is somehow the villain for offering to rejuvenate Sting's career. First, Sting was never very over at Madison Square Garden. He worked almost his entire career for Jim Crockett Promotions, which later became WCW, and I'm not sure if they ever worked Madison Square Garden. Second, like I said, this is Dibiase's show, which means Sting is already working for him. Wrestling in Detroit, in a church. Things like that make me question Dibiase's ability to deliver on that promise. I don't know.
Do you really? Do you have everything you want? Yes, I do. Think about it. You don't. Sting, break the chains.
Ooh, I bet that comeback sent a shiver down Dibiase's spine. Think about it, you don't? You know, I'm not usually a fan of pre-scripted promos in wrestling shows, but in Bishop Jack Wallace's case, I don't think it would have been the worst idea in the world. And on we go. I cut this way down, believe it or not. This segment with Sting in the chains actually lasts a good 5 or 10 minutes. Time enough, I should say, for Bishop Jack Wallace to have helped Sting off with those chains if he had chosen to do so. Just saying. It's an allegory now, I know. Who is the one who can help Sting break the chains? I wonder how much longer they're going to stall. Now let's think about what is happening here. These guys, Sting, Dibiase, Bishop Jack Wallace, are all Christians. And this entire segment with the beating and the chaining and Dibiase offering the worldly temptation has all been about goading the crowd into chanting Jesus, 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 the same way that wrestling crowds used to chant Hogan, 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 or Austin, 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 or you fucked up, you fucked up. That last one was largely confined to Philadelphia. Anyway, not to spoil it for you, but in another few seconds, a guy is going to walk out there dressed in a Jesus costume. And these guys earnestly believe that this is a real person, that he's the son of the God who created the universe. Am I the only one to whom this seems really, really fucking weird? Ask yourself, if you believed there was a real person who returned from his own death and was right now watching you from the afterlife and was omnipotent, would you really hire someone to impersonate him at an indie wrestling show? Would you really prod the live crowd into chanting his name and then go on to stage a cheesy reenactment of his excruciating public execution set to the tune of, Jesus, is that a Carmen song?
Violently, they grabbed his arms as they tightly strapped each wrist. With the hellish looks that a strong-armed soldier, whip clenched in his fist. Laced with chips of bone, they beat him hard, from his shoulders to his feet. It sliced right through his olive skin, just like razors through a sheet.
If this is how Christians, earnest, sincere, faithful Christians, choose to portray the most significant event in the life of who they believe to have been the most important person who ever lived, how the hell can they expect me to take it, or them, seriously? You can tell the Passion of the Christ was still fresh in people's minds because they reenact the whole scourging and crucifixion thing leading to the resurrection, which most Christians believe Jesus did to save souls from hell, but on this show Jesus does so he can get those chains off of Sting's hands. And that Carmen song that plays along with it is the musical equivalent of spilling Jesus' blood and viscera into a wash tub and then diving in and rolling around. The whole thing is incredibly crude and amateurish, but also pretty damn dismal. and not as much fun to watch as you'd hope it would be. And it goes on and on and on. So, with my presentation, I tried to brighten it up a bit. The show goes on after this last bit I'm going to show, but it's just all the wrestlers taking turns giving little come-to-Jesus sermons while not explaining why they declined to run out and help Sting off with those chains. You can find the whole thing for yourself on YouTube if you're interested. Of particular note from the portions I'm not reviewing, the $1 Million Man's claim that he and Greg Valentine laid hands on some deaf children in India and saw them miraculously healed. Since I'm hearing about it for the first time on a YouTube upload of a 5-year-old indie wrestling show, I'm calling bullshit on that and calling it a day.
Countless times the blood splattered as each